Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now May 13th of 2024, and as we are inching closer and closer to the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, the main reason why this trailer, the most recent one at that, came across as something far more entertaining than we have seen from Marvel Studios in past, years, I would say, with the exception of Loki Season 2, is that this was all driven by Shawn Levy, the director, Ryan Reynolds, really gaining creative power over how the trailer would be edited together, how it will be executed to the general public to show them exactly how this movie's going to actually be in its own form through their vision. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You could also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, Marvel Studios and the Walt Disney Company, alright? We know that the Marvel Studios division is really not looking too hot right now for 2025, especially with all the Captain America 4 drama surrounding that film, as well as Blade 2025, Fantastic Four, and it's just an endless pit at this point in time of failure after failure that doesn't really seem to be showing any sign of resolution. Now, focusing on Deadpool and Wolverine, there's been a lot of problems happening with the production of this film. That's not to say it's going to be a bad film per se. I mean, Ryan and Shawn have had and gained many victories over losses by preventing as much DEI elements as possible in the third act reshoots, so good on them for that, for really causing Disney to cave. But focusing here on Kevin Feige and Ryan Reynolds, and how it really involves Hugh Jackman in the middle of all this is where it gets even more intense. Let's discuss, shall we? Now, specifically, of course, on top of everything here, with the Walt Disney Company dealing with their failure over Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios, one major development now has much to do with Ryan Reynolds and the production issues behind Deadpool and Wolverine, and how it involves Kevin Feige. Already where it stands currently is now a grudge is beginning to rise between both Reynolds and Feige after Kevin fully supported and is standing by Bob Iger's plan and decision to withdraw from Hugh Jackman's best scenes from the film that were in fact deleted. It turns out that Reynolds has been turning to Feige, of course, lately after failed attempts with the Disney heads to convince them to reinstate Wolverine's war scenes throughout the Civil War, World War I, II, and even Vietnam, to be introduced in the first act of the film that got deleted. However, after new negotiations between Reynolds and Kevin Feige just started days ago, Feige reportedly agreed with Iger and standed by his decision that they were too violent even for an R-rated film. Reynolds' argument that came in the form of a heated and aggressive conversation with Feige is that nothing should be too violent for a Deadpool film, let alone an action-based Marvel movie that holds that R rating where it stands. And though Reynolds and Feige, of course, have gotten along very well in the past, during the early stages of filming, tensions are now growing between Ryan and Marvel Studios after Feige rejected Hugh Jackman's war scenes to be shown in the final cut. Now, to make matters even worse, even Feige doubled down to not include the scenes in a planned director's cut of the film that they plan to drop sometime in the beginning of 2025 that director Shawn Levy is already beginning to work on that will include a host of deleted scenes. Now, Ryan Reynolds, of course, recently made a serious ultimatum with Kevin Feige where he is now warning to step down and withdraw from appearing for a major role in Avengers Secret Wars, which is set to damage the dynamic planned between Wolverine and Deadpool's return in Secret Wars, and is also planning to step down from working on the true Deadpool 3, since Deadpool and Wolverine is now officially considered not the third film, as Marvel wants to complete the trilogy after this film with Shawn Levy to set everything up. However, Ryan is also warning to scrap his work on that development as well, unless Jackman's scenes that are reinstated in some way, shape, or form. Now, the reason why Reynolds takes this personally is that it was his dream to remake the X-Men Origins Wolverine opening credit scenes to become more violent than ever before that would truly showcase this Wolverine's origin story in the form of a flashback while he is drinking whiskey and smoking cigars in a bar before Deadpool enters the room. The entire scene was in fact filmed just before the writers and SAG strikes took place, and Jackman reportedly trained for well over 3 whole months to do these scenes. Along with that, really rehearsing deeply for those sequences that really showed Wolverine taking a beating while also gaining victory throughout each war. Now, the scenes were described to be more violent than the Saving Private Ryan opening scene, especially the Civil War sequence, which is what turned off Bob Iger and eventually Kevin Feige. With the creative differences rising now during reshoots for the film, which are expected to now last until the first few days in June, to insert, essentially, some new surprise cameos. Feige also proposed to reshoot the Wolverine war scenes to be less violent, and that this would be the only way that he would reinstate the scenes. Ryan, however, did not accept the alternative choice, and is still putting his foot down with both Marvel Studios and Disney's Bob Iger, and is set to make a decision by this June. Now again, let me just say one thing about this, is that we need more actors like Ryan Reynolds that stands up to Kevin Feige, and other actors like Henry Cavill that has also put his foot down against Netflix and among other studios out there. I mean, he's even called out, everything related to what happened to his Superman role. But we all know at the end of the day, right, this is exactly how Hollywood works at this day and age. They really are becoming very much politically correct, where they fear that they can't go overboard in some areas, and part of it is, yes, a deliberate agenda at that. They want to make everything watered down on purpose, just for the sake of doing so, because they think it's playing things safe, and really the best way to attract pretty much every single member of the audience possible that would go ahead and check out this film. That's exactly why Ryan Reynolds was arguing about how this could very well be a watered-down R rating instead of the intense R rating that he wanted to go for with Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, as we discussed earlier, this is not considered the third film. This was all made official by director Shawn Levy. He came out and talked about this about, I would say, 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you guys missed it or not. It's why we here haven't really been referring it to as Deadpool 3 as much anymore, but call it what you want at this point. They do want to set up a third film, and that's exactly why there are also tensions growing. Ryan Reynolds is throwing that ultimatum at Kevin Feige that he is willing to step away from that and call it quits with Deadpool 3, the actual third film, not Deadpool and Wolverine, and also Avengers Secret Wars, in response to Hugh Jackman's most difficult scenes that he has worked on for this film to be excluded, that were deleted, all because Bob Iger felt it was not playing things safe with the audience. And you know what? Bob Iger has admitted things like this before in the Star Wars universe about, cutting down on any form of violence and playing things safe with the Star Wars stories. That's why I don't really see as much, limbs getting lost like we saw in the prequels and in the originals like that. But focusing on all of this, guys, I mean, there's a lot of things going on here with Deadpool and Wolverine. So far, so good with the reshoots. There are less attempts of DEI elements successfully entering into the third act reshoots. It's very minimal. I will talk about that later on in the week. There are minimal elements of DEI spilling into Deadpool and Wolverine, but Ryan and Shawn, Hugh, Rhett Reese, and Paul Wernick, the writers, really prevented everything as much as possible. So overall, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.